Hello YouTube, it is StarTard 8, otherwise known as Absolute Power on Dueling Network and forums, and I am here to bring you another deck profile. I thought that since Secrets of Eternity came out recently, and thus the meta has changed quite a bit, really, with the increase in power to Cliffort, Burning Abyss, and with the introduction of Masked Hero, I would bring you an a more edited and more retrofitted version of one of my favorite decks in the world, Satellarknight. So, for those of you who don't know what this deck is by now, despite the fact that it's been around for quite a while, Satellarknight is a deck that focuses a lot around controlling the field and the hand through searching and through special summoning, especially from the grave. So, Satellarknights are all light warriors. They search, they special from grave, they special from hand, and they send their own members to the graveyard to get more of their effects off. So, because Tellers are warriors, and because they do a lot of things from the graveyard and require some setup, especially out of the graveyard, Satellarknights revolve a lot around recurring their monsters using Call the Haunted and Oasis of Dragon Souls. So, without further ado, let's get started. This is a less traditional Satellarknight build and focuses less on back row and more on aggressive control. Several of my friends and I decided to come up with this build, and we've been throwing it around for quite a while. It's done well in wars, and it does well in tournament. So this is that deck build. The Satellarknight skeleton really has stayed much the same. Very few monsters, some traps, some spells, about half and half on that, and then roughly about a third to a quarter of the deck is monster. So let's get started. It starts off with 3 Deneb. Deneb is a big part of the core because he searches other Tellarknights whenever he's summoned via special, normal, or flip. And Deneb can search pretty much every piece of this deck's monster core. So of course you run 3 of him. And of course you also run 3 Satellarknight Altair. He is your monster reborn. He gets back all of your Tellarknights. So 3 of this guy. He's also searchable by Deneb. 2 Satellarknight Vega. Some people run only 1 Vega. I decide to run 2. Just because you get more stuff out of the hand, you get more consistency. But beware, at more than 2, Vega will brick. 2 Unukalhai. Many people actually run 3 Unukalhai, just because he can pitch a Deneb early or pitch another Tellarknight early. But I don't like that, because I find that 3 of this guy bricks, especially in the build that I run. So 2 Unukalhai. 1 Satellarknight Procyon. This thing is just great. He gets all the consistency. He's an easy 4. He pitches a Deneb. I'll get into combos at the end of this profile, but Procyon is really, really good, especially for consistency purposes, as I said. Satellarknight Sirius. This is a replacement for Daigusto Emerald, because I find that Emerald's a little slow and he takes up extra deck space. So with Sirius, if you have a graveyard full of Tellers, just drop this, reload them all, and draw a card. It's like a mini Pot of Avarice. He's pretty good. And of course, the all-important Alsahm. Alsahm wins games. I didn't think Alsahm was good before, but 1000 burn damage adds up very, very quickly. So Alsahm is great. You can pitch him for Procyon. You can do a lot with this thing. And then, of course, to finish off the monster core, double Honest. And when Honest came back to 2, I was really excited, because Honest gives this deck a lot of offensive potential. And Honest pushes for game are very, very common with this deck. So Honest is always a good thing to have, especially when you're staring down something big like El Shaddai Winda or Apocalypse Tower. If you're staring that down, Honest will take care of that very, very quickly. So that's really it for the monster core, guys. Very few monsters. I think somewhere in the ballpark of 15 or 16. Less if you don't include Honest as a monster. So very small monster core, exclusively centered around summoning your own Tellarknights. And what would the monster core be without the spells to support it? Of course, you run triple reinforcement of the army because you want to search out your monsters whenever you can. Of course, triple Deneb does that, but triple RotA does that better. Because you can just activate RotA from your hand. It doesn't require a normal summon. And 3 Deneb, 3 RotA is like having 6 of this card, which is awesome. The new tech, 3 Satellarknight Skybridge. This card is just amazing. I've written several forum posts on this card on Dueling Network forum. I have a single card discussion on it. This thing is just great. So what it does is you target a Tellarknight you control, and then you special a different one with the same level but a different name from the deck, and return the targeted monster back to your deck. So this thing is great. It gets the effect of the teller that is summoned, and because it's a quick play, you can chain it to things like Breakthrough Skill, Bottomless Trap Hole, etc. So you not only get the effect of the monster that was summoned, you also get the effect of the monster that comes out of Skybridge. The only downside being that you can't exceed for or special any monsters except for Satellars, which if you're Skybridging for the right monster shouldn't be that much of a problem. And I'll go into more Skybridge combos after this deck profile is finished. Triple Mystical Space Typhoon. Of course, with Cliff Fort Prevalence and with Snatch Steal in the game, you obviously want 3 of that. Plus, Tellarknights don't like excessive amounts of back row. No deck really does. Soul Charge, of course, because Soul Charge is very standard in graveyard decks. And Snatch Steal, of course, the all-important staple. And that's it for spells. The trap core for this deck is a little smaller than usual Tellarknights or past format Tellarknight, but that's obviously to accommodate more Skybridge and more aggressiveness. So this is going to be focused more on monster recursion and the occasional negation. So we're kicking it off with 3 Alpha. Alpha is pretty much Solemn Judgment with a draw, and it costs no life points, and it sends a Tellarknight to the grave, thus keeping your keeping your momentum and delaying your opponents. So 3 Alpha is just excellent. 3 Call the Haunted. Call the Haunted, again, is another good card for this deck for very obvious reasons. It's a trap Altair. And then 2 Oasis of Dragon Souls. Why don't I just play 4 or even 6? 6 bricks, and 4 I think would be too few. So I just go with Oasis, double Oasis. I choose Call, 3 Call over 3 Oasis, just because Call summons in attack mode, Oasis summons in defense. And most of the Satellars should be in attack anyway. Compulse, because Compulse is a staple. Double Emptiness. I was maining triple, but with the amount of specialing this deck does, I think double is better. I side the third one. Double Breakthrough Skill. Breakthrough Skill is so important with Dark Law. This thing really helps against that. And of course, Fiendish Chain. This is going to be hollowed very, very shortly within the next week. But aside from Bling, this card is extremely good, especially against, like I said, Dark Law, which has become one of this deck's primary threats. It's also good against El Shaddai Winda, all the other things like Majesty's Fiend, Vanity's Fiend. Fiendish Chain is just great. Plus, it's bounceable with Trivair, so that's why I run one. I also side one, as you'll see very shortly. So, getting on to the side deck, 40-card main deck, small monster core, and then based mostly around spells and traps. The side deck mostly helps to complement that, and I'm going to start off right now with Majesty's Fiend. Of course, Majesty is great. With all the special summoning you do, Majesty is pretty much a must. Plus, he stops Burning Abyss, so that's very, very important. Thunder King Ryo. This not only helps to stop Cliff Fort, and it kills the mirror match, but when Neckcloth comes, even though this can't stop their summon, it can still stop Brionac from searching as much. So Ryo can delay plays for maybe 1 or 2 turns, which is usually enough to get this deck going. Dimensional Fissure. because you exceed all the time, your exceed materials don't go to the they don't count as being detached right off the field, so they don't go technically straight from field to grave, meaning your exceed materials get around DeFi, and that's just great. DeFi screws up a lot of opponents' plays. Anti-spell fragrance, 2 of it. Activate this and Clifford's Cry. And that's really enough said. Plus, it stops Necros. It forces them to set all their ritual spells first. So that gives you a lot of time. You can try Ver and then just continuously loop their not their field spell, excuse me, their ritual spell back to their hand. They can't activate it, so pretty much stops Necros and Clifford dead. Shadow Imprisoning Mirror, 3 of it this time. Obviously against Burning Abyss, which is one of this card's worst deck's matchups. This deck gets destroyed by Burning Abyss and Clifford. That's why I side double Spell Fragrance and triple Shadow Imprisoning. Imprisoning for Burning Abyss and Spell Fragrance for Clifford. And then even more Clifford hate, double Fairy Wind. Fairy Wind, it'll not only deal damage, but it'll destroy their Pendulum Scales, and every deck in existence right now should be definitely, if you're not Clifford, every non-Clifford deck should be siding this, and Anti-Spell. Anti-Spell, as I said before, is going to become really important when Necros come out very shortly. Vanity's Emptiness. This card is just astounding as a floodgate. It keeps everything out, keeps everything at bay. There's the third one, as I said earlier, while I was going through the main deck. And I also said I was siding an extra Fiendish, because siding the extra in for Darklaw or the other monsters is always a nice thing to have. And then 2 Mind Drain. So finally, Mind Drain has a little bit of relevance with Necros coming out very shortly. This card pretty much stops Brionac dead. It stops all the Necros in the hand from discarding and doing all that nasty stuff. So Mind Drain is going to become a very, very important side deck. And then Soul Drain. Because of all the graveyard garbage going on with Burning Abyss and all that, this card is just great to have as a side. This Soul Drain in combination with D-Fissure and Majesty essentially shuts down every graveyard in existence. Combined with Shadow Imprisoning, it pretty much completely shuts Burning Abyss down. So that's the side deck, guys. I'm going to move on to the extra deck. So 15 cards, it's a little changed up, obviously because new cards came out. So first and foremost, double Stellarknight Diamond. Double Satellarknight Stellar Diamond. This thing is just God against Burning Abyss and Shadal. That's really all I can say about that card. Double Diamond. It's got to be there. Also going along with that is double Triver. 2 Triver, obviously, so you can keep looping them back and forth. I run 2 Diamond in case one of your Trivers gets like stopped or something. In the Burning Abyss matchup and Shadal matchup, you don't want that. And of course 1 Deltaros. You don't need 2. You really only need 1 just to pop a few things or get an extra monster off if he's sent to the graveyard. So that's good. He's good with Alpha too if he has no material. And then Bujinte Tsukuyomi. I had some people on forum and in my other videos telling me to drop this, but I'm not going to. It's becoming more and more popular because of Procyon. So Vega Procyon, pitch 1, and then exceed for this thing, and that's consistency right there. That's an amazingly consistent opening. Constellar Omega. I play Omega, obviously, because of Snatch Steal, Raigeki Dark Hole, prevalence, and stuff like that. Plus, he's Honest compatible, so Omega's not bad. Castel, because he's a staple. Paladynamo, because he is pretty much a walking breakthrough skill, and I really, really like that. He gets rid of that construct. He gets rid of construct. He gets rid of some of the other nastier monsters that you can go up against. Some of the bigger ones. Exciton, because of course Exciton. Cowboy, With Alsahm and Triver, you can actually loop Cowboy for tons and tons of damage. Alsahm and Cowboy is 1800 per turn, not counting the damage they take from an attack from Triver. So that can add up very, very quickly. Abyss Dweller because it's Abyss Dweller and he stops graveyard stuff. Diamond Dyer. So Diamond Dyer can not only tribute himself off, he can also tribute off Tsukuyomi. So Diamond Dyer is a good thing. Silent Honor Arc because he's also a semi-staple. I could do double Castel, but I like Arc's ability to not die after his effect, and he's got 2100 to Castel's 2000. So that little extra attack is helpful in some cases. And the last card in the extra deck, of course, is Excalibur, and Excalibur is amazing for running over that towers or the big monster that they could have. So that's the extra deck. So I said I would give you guys some combos. So one of the most important openings you can possibly have with new format Stellarknight is Unukalhai and Skybridge. Why is this so important? Well, for one, Unukalhai is your pitcher, as I said earlier. Summon Unukalhai, pitch Deneb, and then you can Skybridge into like Altair or something. If you're this is a good second turn play if you're going second, or even just a good setup play. And it makes it even better if you have a Vega in hand, because then you can, of course, Vega into Unukalhai, Skybridge, bounce Unukalhai back, summon Altair, and go into first turn Triver, just to get a card out of the opponent's hand. And that's very early advantage. That's one thing you can do with Skybridge. Other things you can do with that card, you could of course use it with Procyon or Sirius for more consistency. You could use Skybridge to get Sirius out when you have few Stellarknights in deck but tons in grave. Just Skybridge a useless monster on the field out and get this. Reload, draw a card, gets you a second wind, excuse me. If you have extra Denebs, of course, you can always Skybridge a Deneb. That's pretty helpful, especially if your Deneb is getting breakthrough skilled or bottomless. You can Deneb search for Altair and then bounce Deneb out for Unukalhai. Always a good thing to have, because then you still get your Deneb in grave, you get your Altair to hand, and you get your Unukalhai effect off to pitch Deneb anyway. So that's a good combo to get off. So why is having 5 call the Haunted in this deck important? Call in this deck is extremely good because it's bounceable via Triver. So what you can do is Oasis or call for Vega, special Deneb or Altair Deneb, and then next turn go for another Altair, and then bounce call and Altair back with Triver, and that's a very solid and very, very powerful play. So that's my brief tutorial on Satellarknights, guys. If you want me to go a little more in depth with the deck, I can certainly do so. If you liked this video, like it, comment, and or subscribe. And until the next profile, guys, I will see you next time.